Who are you?
I'm Rob.
From?
I'm Rob from Charlotte, North Carolina, and I play the saxophone.
Of the?
Pardon me?
Of the?
Yeah, of the Sonics.
Of the Sonics. And Rob, who else is in the Sonics?
Yes. On my immediate right, my best friend and bass player and lead singer, Freddie Dennis.
I'm Freddie, the bass player. I'm from Seattle, Washington.
And beside Freddie, we have?
Besides Freddie, we have is Larry Paripa, one of the original Sonics, lead guitar player from Bellevue, Washington in the high rent district.
Wellview, we call it. Wellview.
And beside Larry, we have?
Beside Larry, we have my grandfather. No, beside Larry, we have Jerry Rosalie, the White Little Richard, the original singer, keyboard player for the Sonics, and he lives in Tacoma, Washington.
Hello, Jerry.
Hello.
And beside Jerry, we have?
Beside Jerry, we have our newest acquisition, Dusty Watson, our drummer. Fantastic guy, long travel guy. He's from Los Angeles, California.
Hello, Dusty.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Welcome to Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada.
Thank you.
The Sonics are in the house.
In the house, yes, we are.
I heard that there were like these Halloween pumpkin outfits that you have. Is this the Halloween pumpkin outfit?
Yes, they're orange, and we bought them here. And we have bought some Beau Brummel coats here also.
Could you please explain? You can't really see it. What's going on here in this record? The Sonics Unreleased.
The orange suits, we called those our pumpkin suits. They were made, like Larry said, they were made by a tailor here in Vancouver, and we only used them for shows. Like we'd opened for the Beach Boys or opened for Jan and Dean. We would use those for shows. They were real loud. And
So you're kind of happy where you can't see them?
This guy, he's a crook. The guy who put this out is a crook. Never paid a royalty to anybody in his life, and he laughs about it.
So bring back bad memories, the pumpkin outfits and this.
Just a fact, just a fact. You don't want this.
There's some amazing photos, and you mentioned her name earlier, Jenny Delaccio. Could you tell me about these pics? There's the witch right there.
She's 96 years old, and she's still doing this.
And there's a documentary about her called Her Aim is True.
Right. Wow. No, look at that. That's before some girl tore my hair out in the front and it never grew back. Yeah, right there. That's it. That's right. Otherwise, I would have bangs still.
And that's
true.
And, what gig was it ripped out at? Do you remember?
Yeah, at the Coliseum in Portland.
Because you said you were British?
Tell him, Jerry. Tell him. Tell him it's true.
What?
That girl grabbed my hair at the Portland.
Yeah.
I have to be good looking and have hair and everything.
That's why his hair's all gone up here.
That's right.
And also, he said one of them girls grabbed his hand and went on her hooter.
Her hooter.
Yeah. Oh, what do you call them down in California? Scratch the hooter.
you know,
Can you imagine what I would look like had that not happened?
Yeah.
So there we have, again, the amazing Jeannie Delaccio pic right there of you pre-hair getting ripped out. Where did you end up in the rafters? Like you were in the rafters at some gig?
Which night? I did that a lot.
You remember who's the lead singer for Paul Revere and the Raiders?
Lindsay?
Lindsay. He used to do that. He would climb the rafters, hang. And so we played in Wenatchee one night, and Rob did that.
Now Eddie Vedder's doing it. Oh.
And I was real successful doing it, except the one time I got up in the rafters and I couldn't get down.
He left you on and we got off the stage and left you up there.
Turned off the lights, shut the door.
And the rafters were full of horrible dirt and cobwebs and pigeon poo-poo, and I was up there going, guys!
Did you have the mic with you? How many songs did you sing in the Sonics?
Well, no, in those days I probably sang 15 or something because there was just Jerry and me, and we used to do 3 sets, and so I would do the blues and the Rolling Stones songs to give Jerry a break. So, yeah, I didn't sing as many as he did, but I probably, out of 3 sets doing 60 songs, I might have done 15, something like that.
You introduced me to Frank Zappa.
What were we smoking?
In fact, I was so excited. I actually interviewed Jerry Denon, and when I interviewed him, I said, question, Jerry Denon, was Jerry Rosalie a big Zappa fan? And Jerry Denon said, absolutely. So I guess I'd like to find out, were you a big Zappa fan? How did you find that song, Jerry?
What song?
Any way to which
Oh, anyway, the witch blows.
any way to which blows.
Yeah, it was off Frank Zappa.
Like, so you're to blame for that one too.
Well, it was actually a pretty nice song. It was our attempt to go commercial or something, but it was a nice song. It was well done, and
The first Zappa thing I ever heard. So thank you. I really appreciate that.
yeah, sure.
However, Phil Spector emailed you guys. Is that true?
Yeah, we just got a one-line email from him, said, I always wanted to record you guys. And I think that was from where he was incarcerated. So maybe he wasn't himself.
The Witch actually was, believe it or not, in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, a number 2 hit. It was a number 2 hit.
Well, it was a number 2 down in Seattle and Tacoma also. And,
We had Psycho go to number 5.
well, we didn't find out for 35 years that The Witch actually was number 1, but the big rock station in Seattle, KJR, wouldn't do that. They actually put Petula Clark's Downtown as number 1 and The Witch as number 2. Well, it turned out we were number 1 by a long shot, but the local disc jockeys wouldn't play it during the day. They didn't want to scare the housewives, and so they only played it during high school hours, from 4 to 6, something like that. And they couldn't make it number 1. And the program director 35 years later said, yeah, well, actually, The Witch really was number 1. We just couldn't do it. And I never, none of us understood what the big deal was, because if you listen to the lyrics in The Witch, there's nothing nasty, there's nothing suggestive, it's fine, it's just words. But they thought that we were summoning up demons from hell or something. I don't know what they thought.
Here we are in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, with the
Sonics.
Now, I first got into the Sonics because I walked into a record store in Vancouver, Zulu Records, and I said, I would like to hear Louie Louie, because I'd heard there was this great song called Louie Louie. And the girl behind the counter said, you have to check out the Sonics, and it was forever changed. Now, I would like to ask you, Sonics, what would have happened if I asked the girl for a record behind the counter and I ended up getting this particular recording right here, Louie Louie by Lil Bill?
Oh, yeah, that's probably the first version from the Northwest anyway.
So I got your version. I didn't get the Louie Louie Lil Bill version. What can you say about the Louie Louie Lil Bill version? Would I have been changed if I had heard that?
Not as much as here in ours. Ours was more menacing, and this was more calypso. And then the Wailers come out with their version that was probably the most heavily copied, which was great.
When is the first time that the Sonics encountered Jimi Hendrix?
Spanish Castle. He wanted to sit in. He had his own equipment too, and we said, get the hell out of here.
Jerry, we're back here with the Sonics, but for a while there you had the Cinderella version of the Sonics, the Invaders, the Jerry Rosalie effect. What was that?
Well, that was some guys. It was some guys that came up and said, you want to do some songs on an album? And they said, they said, can we call it the Sonics? I said, no, don't call it the Sonics. I don't want to do that. They says, okay, we'll call it the Invaders. And then when they put the record, they said, hey, we got the record. And the guy puts it out and like that. And I says, well, what's the Sonics on here for? Well, the guy promoter in L.A. said that would probably sell better. No, he's kidding, That was bad news.
And did you do any gigs with them? Like, how long did that last?
Never even played as them with a band. I came in to where they had a room with a recorder and all that, and I was just singing the tracks. I never played with that band.
And at this time, Larry, you were involved in this particular band, Charlie and the Tunas.
Yeah, you notice how everybody's necks were crooked? We changed members so much that all we just ended up doing is we had black on white. We just cut the heads off and replaced them.
See, this is for Sonic completists, right? Charlie and the Tunas. What can you say about Charlie and the Tunas?
I don't know, it's just a nickel dime band. I mean, this was after I hadn't played since '66, and this was sometime in the '80s. So it was a way of getting back and trying to learn to play again. It was fun, though. Yeah, I'm there.
Holy, did you have a beard?
Whoa.
Look at that neck. Yeah, I had a beard.
Were you the bearded guy? Yeah. Holy mackerel. It looks like the Unabomber.
Look at his neck. I mean, you can tell his neck's not on right.
His neck's not on right.
You weren't paying attention at this time, Rob, because you were flying airplanes?
I was someplace else. Yeah, I never heard of Charlie and the Tunas, but that's no big deal because they never heard of me either.
So you were a commercial pilot?
Yes.
So did you meet any Sonics fans at all when you were doing your commercial piloting at all? Did you ask them up to the front?
All the time.
Who did you run into? Like, did you actually really carry Springsteen around and then you found out that you were in the Sonics inadvertently?
I didn't carry him around, but I flew him from Los Angeles to West Palm Beach, Florida. Yeah, he and his wife.
And then he found out you were in the Sonics? Like, did you tell people, hi, it's Captain?
I used to play the Sonics.
Yeah.
I guess I was just curious of people that you encountered.
He did a show in Seattle, and he said, I'm going to do a song by the Sonics, and I'm not talking about the basketball team. And so he did Have Love Will Travel. So I was flying him, and his wife was asleep, and it was the middle of the night, and we're halfway across the country. And I walked back, and he engaged me in conversation. And I said, I'm glad I had a chance to talk to you because you did a nice thing for me and some friends of mine, and I wanted to thank you for it. And he said, oh, what was that? And I said, well, my name's Rob Lind. I'm a sax player in the Sonics. And all he wanted to talk about was how Larry got that fabulous tone out of his... Yeah, so we had a good conversation. He's a very nice guy. His wife is a very nice lady. Nice people.
Over the years, did you encounter anybody else that liked the Sonics in that way when you were flying them around? Like even in Vietnam, were there any pickup bands you played with in Vietnam?
Well, yeah, there was, but it had nothing to do with the Sonics. It was... No, I flew people every once in a while. I flew the Beach Boys. I flew the manager of the Eagles and a couple of the guys from the Eagles.
Did you get to control the onboard music at all and like pump some Sonics there?
To do with that, I was just no, I was just sitting in the seat minding my own business.
The Sonics, original Northwest,
Oh, this is the same guy who doesn't pay royalties, isn't it?
an original Northwest punk.
Yeah. A crook calling us punk. I'll be damned. How about that?
And this was issued in the 80s or late 70s, and this was sort of like the punk revival. Was this when you sort of noticed what was going on? Because you, Larry, it goes back to Hooters, doesn't it? You picked up Cavalier magazine, a nudie mag.
It wasn't Hooters. It was just a cafe next to a music store. Yeah, I was going through it. I wasn't looking at the pictures at all. I was making sure I didn't look at the pictures. And all of a sudden, there was an article there about the Sonics. It was something about people in the audience in New York City yelling, do certain songs.
Which is pretty incredible.
And then I found an Italian magazine. I couldn't read it, but I knew it was about the Sonics. And we started hearing more and more about it all the time.
But as I was mentioning, I was obsessed by the Sonics, winding up here with the Sonics in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada as well, because put on a gig in the 1980s and look at the gig ticket. Look who's on the gig ticket there, Larry.
Whoa, before I got my hair ripped out.
Baboom!
Wow.
It's a gig called Live at the Church with my band, The Evaporators, a band called the One-Eyed Jacks, and another band called the Four Sticks, named after a Led Zeppelin song. So we have Live at the Church.
Your band was in there?
The Evaporators, yes, still going today. So it's all been started by the Sonics. You're to blame for me, Nardwuar the Human Serviette, Sonics.
Wow, I didn't think you were that old.
I've been in the game a long time. Actually, how old is old?
I can't remember.
Because people have come up to you, Rob, haven't they, and said, you're not a garage band. You've said, well, we're not a Farfisa band. What can you tell people about that? You're not a Farfisa band, the Sonics.
I'm not familiar with that term.
I think you were talking about in Greece. People were wondering about...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we went in to do our sound check, and before we went in, the owner was really nice, but sort of scared. We did the sound check. He came out to me and was almost crying, saying, "That's not garage. That's not garage." So I told him we don't play garage. We play sonic music. So we played that night, and the audience really liked it. And then he came and slobbered all over me. Just really happy.
Now, I was wondering, lastly here, Dusty, you are in the rock and roll band now known as the...
Sonics.
Sonics, yes. Does Dusty forget he's in the Sonics?
Sonics.
Because I was thinking, if you forget you're in the Sonics, things could go horribly wrong. Like, you did some drumming for the Booyah Tribe, the rap band.
Yeah, the Booyah Tribe. They called me Angel Dust. Hey, Angel Dust. So, yeah, that was a pretty interesting gig.
It's pretty cool. Like, you've drummed for the Booyah Tribe. You've drummed for the Queers. What do the rest of the Sonics know about you?
Very little, actually. I try and keep that all separate and keep that away from them. I don't want to scare them or anything. I'm a little bit worried about scaring them off. But actually, when I first saw you guys was in Italy. We were on the same festival, the Beat Festival, with Gianni, the titty twister, Gianni, and he.
The what?
Titty twister, that is. Titty twister.
Or do I ask Jerry about the titties?
So we got to play a festival together, and we were having fun, and we saw each other the next day. It was pretty cool. And then I saw them again a couple years later at the Ink and Iron Festival, and I was playing with another band there. And of course, I was doing like sonic fills, nothing like Bob Bennett snare drum rolls. So I like to put them in anywhere I can. And Rob was standing out in front of me, just about how he's standing now, just about like this. And he goes, "If we ever need a drummer, we're going to call you." And I said, "You better damn do that," And sure as shit, he did,
Well, thanks so much, Sonics from Tacoma, Washington. Keep on rocking in the free world and do 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 do
Do, do. Nardwuar!
Yes.
Sonics!